Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the national finals of TCS Ion Intelligem 2021. Before we progress to the contest itself, can I request and welcome Mr. Mahadevan from TCS Ion to set the ball rolling.
Thank you. A big hello to everyone. It is a tremendous pleasure that I welcome you all to the grand finale of the TCS Ion Intelligem 2021. It just looks like yesterday, but we are at the final stages of the third edition of this contest. When we started, we had two goals in mind. One, how do we enable the skills and competencies young learners of today need? What everyone talks about the 21st century skills. And two, how do we work with the school system to really see how these can be integrated as part of everyday learning? First, let me congratulate all the finalists who are here. You all have reached, after 3 rounds, competing with the thousands across the country, the best who put their foot forward, but not necessarily in the bestest of the circumstances, I believe. Given the challenges in terms of the pandemic, in terms of the way we had to reimagine the way we study, the way we work. In fact, we had to reimagine the contest. We reimagined every single aspect of this contest to ensure that you all stay home, stay safe, and still be part of the 21st century skills domain. When we started the reimagination, we wanted to ensure that we have a model which is ready to go global. Reimagining every aspect of this contest helped us come to a situation today where you might not be competing with just the best in the country, but best around the globe very soon, maybe in the very next year. All of this would not have been possible without the active participation and enthusiastic support from schools and students. We are happy to tell you that schools from 180 plus cities and towns of the country, spread over 27 states, participated. A big thank you to each and every one of you who took the initiative to encourage your young learners to be ready for the future. Today, we have in front of us 50 of the young gems who are going to compete for the final stage of this, for the national crown of TCS Ion Intelligem. Till now, I hope you all had a very good experience, and hopefully the last stage is going to be yours. So all the best. Put your best foot forward and ensure that you are at your articulate best, creative best, and also empathetic best. Best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, Maha. So, friends, your host today is Asia's only woman quiz and knowledge show host, author, speaker, and alumnus of NITK Surathkal. She has over the last decade become a favorite with the schools and colleges across Asia. Please welcome your host, Miss Rashmi Furtado.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the grand finale of Creativity and Innovation, the senior category, brought to you by TCS Ion Intelligem in association with Ed6 Brain Lab. Let's get to know our finalists right away. We have Dhruva Anand from PSBB Chennai. Following him is Neha Renish from PSBB Kanchipuram. Up next is Samir Murthy from Sri Kumaran's Children's Home, Bengaluru. Following Samir is Harini Balasubramanian from Sri Kumaran's Children's Home, Bengaluru again. Arna Jain, the Shishukunj International School, Indore. And last but not the least, we have Vrishab Venkataraghavan from PSBB, Chennai. These are all our finalists who belong to classes 7, 8, and 9. We have 3 challenges for all of you here today. So let's get straight into challenge number 1, Shruth Savan. Here we go. So finalists, all the best to you. Do well, but before you begin, let me quickly tell you what the rules of this challenge are. Let's understand how this challenge works first. You must answer 15 puzzles within 15 minutes. There is a 60-second time limit for each puzzle. You get 10 points when you answer the puzzle correctly within the first 10 seconds. 1 point will be reduced for every additional 5 seconds taken to answer the puzzle. If you take more than 50 seconds for a correct answer, you will get only 1 mark. For any unanswered puzzle at the end of 60 seconds, you will receive no points and move to the next puzzle. Your scores will be displayed at all points in time. For you viewers, we will toggle between players so you get to see what they choose. Time to start and play Shruth Savan. Good luck to all of you. Okay, that was great. So now let's move to the second challenge of this grand finale, and that's called Awesome Author. Let me now explain to you the rules of the second challenge. We will show an animation after which all of you have to script or author your own story. You must use the same characters. Do not reuse the plot or the slapstick from the video. You can use the same or a different location. Create your own story that is funny with slapstick and visual jokes. You will have up to 5 minutes to narrate or enact your story. So let's get straight into challenge number 2, Awesome Authors, and let's first watch this animation. All of you have watched the animation, so let's now listen to your stories. First up, we have Dhruva. Dhruva, please go ahead.
Ready?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Kapi the monkey and Tiga the tiger were two neighbors. Tiga was the cool student of the school and also the head boy of the school in the Jungle Academy school, where Kapi also went. Kapi was always jealous of Tiga and wanted to be his friend so badly that he wanted to do everything that Tiga done. So it's obvious that when Kapi saw Tiga all dressed up in a leopard swimsuit, ready to go to the beach, he wanted to go too. The tiger had really lost his stripes. So Kapi threw a huge tantrum at home. Mom, Tiga is also going to the beach. Please take me, please, please. And then she says, No, Kapi. Today I have to do the dishes and we have a lot of work ahead. You know, with this pandemic, that I've not been able to find work. And since your father has been working from home and lost his job and his salary has taken a big pay cut, I need to work too. So today is a very important day and I'm sorry, but I just cannot drive you to the beach on such a busy day. But please, I'll give you a foot rub when I come home. Or rather, a paw rub. Kapi's mother couldn't resist this invitation because she knew that Kapi's foot rubs were just irresistible. So Kapi's mom drove Kapi to the beach. When Tika's mom saw Kapi at the beach along with Tika, she was quite angry because she knew that Tika didn't particularly like Kapi and that their trip to the beach might be ruined. So, as tigers are territorial and protective animals, Tika's mom and Kapi's mother got into a huge fight. But things soon settled down when they started discussing their favorite cooking show, MasterChef Animalia, where and saying that the new judges could never live up to the standard of the show. Things were going smoothly, and after a lot of badgering, Tiga agrees to surf with Kapi after they discuss their favorite YouTube channel, Animal Perfect. When they are surfing, Kapi sees a shark fin and looks to warn Tiga, but Tiga is nowhere to be found. Kapi fears the worst and thinks that his friend has been murdered by this shark, but is very amused when Tiga comes up from the surface with a shark fin on his back. He says to Tiga, "Hey Tiga, why don't we start a YouTube channel which does trick shots and funny reels like this?" They called it AFV, not in the least a testament to the common human show America's Funniest Home Videos, but it was actually animals' funniest home videos. After all animals hated their human oppressors as they had rid them of their natural habitat, and it even kept a few of them as pets. The gall! So they decided to make funny videos involving epic fails, trick shots, and other funny videos. They were there was even a video of Kapi falling off his bicycle into a fountain and having to walk back home soaking wet in the rain. This YouTube channel on the common platform AniTube garnered a lot of views and went viral. So it's no surprise that soon enough a broadcaster came in and started paying them a lot of money to regularly broadcast their shows at 9 p.m. every Sunday. After getting all this money, Kapi and Tiga felt that they should give something back to the society that had given so much. So 50% of all of their earnings went to setting up a company which involved food trucks. So what they did is they knew that in their area there was a lot of hunger and many animals went without food to the bed. In fact, 690 million of animals went hungry to bed every night around the world. So they decided that they must do something about this. They started up a food truck company and put it up in remote areas. They asked those who could pay to pay them for their food, and to those who couldn't to come and collect free food. You might think that a lot of people might play the system, but no. This job was treated with dignity, respect, and complete transparency. Those who could pay paid, and those who couldn't pay humbly accepted the food and thanked the people who gave it to them. A YouTube channel called Nas Daily came from all over the other side of the world to cover them. That their story went absolutely viral, and soon enough, they received a lot of funds from around the world. So they kept on setting up more and more and more trucks, and more people were even employed in those trucks to distribute the food. So, what I think we can take away from this story is even if you start something for fun, you should always have a noble intention in mind and always do good for your community because it's given you so much. Thank you.
That was an amazing story, Dhruva. Up next, we have Neha. Neha, please begin.
Okay. This is my version of the Kapi and Tiga story in the mall. Kapi and Tiga, one day, when they're in their cars, hear a radio announcement on the opening of a new mall. So they get excited and want to go to the mall and see. However, their mothers don't agree as they are busy. Kapi and Tiga beg them, but still they don't get to go. So they make a fuss, and in the end, their mothers finally agree. At the new mall, Tiga and Kapi decide to go to the food court. Kapi orders pizza and Tiga orders a burger. Both are happy, and their mothers sit with them and are happy too. But then Tiga takes a slice from Kapi's pizza, and they both start fighting. And and it escalates, and eventually the entire table topples over, and their mothers start arguing then. But Kapi and Tiga spot a claw machine and decide to and run off to that corner, and they both have a go. Tiga succeeds in getting a toy, but Kapi does not. And they have a fight again, and they break the claw machine. And Kapi just takes a toy out of the broken claw machine. Uh, just takes a toy out of the broken claw machine. But the manager, the owner of the claw machine, um, and in the end, they have to leave. Game on. Yeah, that's my story.
What an interesting story that was from Neha. Coming up next is Sameer. Please go ahead, Sameer.
Okay, ma'am. Uh, this story is set in Amazonia, a place in the United States of America where only animals live and they can talk and walk, just like humans do. This was also a time where everyone loved mini golf, just like how fidget spinners, quilling, and loom beads were crazes. Mini golf was also a craze. Tiga woke up excited to go mini golfing, only to find that his mother was still sleeping. Then Tiga gets damn upset because his mother is not awake for the one day where they absolutely have so much fun. So what does he do? He grabs this red colored blowhorn, goes right next to his mother's ear, and presses it full hard for the noise to go flattering on her face. The bedsheet falls off. She goes in the air. Colors of blue, purple, orange, yellow flatter in her eyes as she is woken up from her deep sleep. Her mother reluctantly carries the car keys and they go to mini golf. Coincidentally, Kapi and his mother were also there. Kapi was just about to grab his glove and hit the ball. A light bulb pops up on Tiga's head. He picks up the golf ball just before Kapi can hit it, and Kapi swings the bat, and it goes and hits the tree because, of course, the ball wasn't there. So the bat just goes up in the air and hits the tree. Three big fat coconuts just go thunk, thunk, thunk on top of Kapi's head, and he goes, "Ugh," and then he falls down. And then his mother gets very angry, and then she and Tiga start having a fight, and they just like black clouds of smoke form completely around them. And then Tiga's mom also comes, and then there's this huge fight, which leads to the next scene. Kapi is very upset with what Tiga did, so Kapi is gonna try to get him back. So Kapi goes to this nearby shop right next to the mini golf course and picks up this automated ball which can be controlled with a remote control. He gives the ball to Kapi saying he'll hit a shot every time he hits it. So Tiga agrees and does it. The first three times it actually goes in the first try. The fourth time the ball spins off even before Tiga can hit it. And this causes Tiga to go searching after it. He sees the ball go into the bush, but as soon as he goes into the bush to search for it, there's actually water on the other side. So then he jumps up in the air, just waving his arms, trying to not fall into the water. And then thunk, splash, what he falls into the water fully wet. And as we all know, tigers can't swim. So Tiga's having a real problem trying to swim. Then Kapi realizes his problem and goes and saves Tiga. Then they both finally work it out. But the thing is not over yet. Their day is not over, so their fun isn't either. They go, they grab they go grab that same animated ball which they had used and the golf club. And then they find this huge bull sitting on a side chair right next to the golf course. He is happily snoring. Then Kapi grabs the ball and places it down and takes the bat and hits the ball right towards him. It goes and hits him straight in the stomach. Boom! It just hurts and hurts and hurts. The guy wakes up. He has that red color just pouring from the bottom to the top of his eyes. And then he comes, and who does he see there? Kapi and Tiga. And just before he can do anything, Kapi climbs up a tree with Tiga, and then the rest of the day is spent with the the bull standing under the tree and Kapi and Tiga sitting on the tree for their lives. Ma'am, I'm done.
Thank you, Sameer. That was wonderful. Up next, we have Harini.
Kapi and Tiga are two neighbors, a monkey and a tiger, who constantly fight over trivial matters. Their mothers are sick of them always arguing, and they decide to plan a trip to the beach where their kids could ideally play with each other and become good friends. So they go, and Kapi and Tiga decide to have a swimming race. But they are suddenly drowned by a huge wave and they pass out. When they wake up, they realize that they are on a completely different shore. They decide to stick together. Kapi finds a map to a gem and a note telling them, if you want to escape this place and return home, you must find the gem and hold it together. It will transport you back home. Teka says, we really do want to go back home, so let's complete this mission together, or we will not survive this dangerous place. Kapi agrees, and they head towards the jungle situated at the center of the island to retrieve the gem. On the way, they encounter several traps. They face hyenas, but Tira uses his tiger skills to growl loudly, and the hyenas run away in fear. The next trap they face is a huge gap between the ground where Tigger cannot jump so far. But Kapi takes Tigger on his back and they leap across the hole and they head towards the gem. They encounter a maze and together they travel through the maze to find the gem. They use both their wits and their courage to go through this jungle and they find the gem. Together they hold it and they are instantly transported back home. But their mothers do not know this. They actually thought that they were still swimming in the pool. So when they told their mothers this, they started laughing and told them that it was a dream. But Kapi and Tiga knew that this was true, and they stayed friends forever. Their mothers were surprised by this change of events, and yet they were happy.
Very interesting storyline, Harini. Let's move on to Arna. Go ahead, Arna.
Okay, so Kapi and Tiga are super excited for today is the first day of their school, and after 10 long months, they can finally meet their friends. Their whole houses are practically vibrating with energy they are radiating. Now, coming on to Kapi, he suddenly remembers just when 10 minutes are left that they are required to take a tiffin, and in panic, he suddenly rushes to his mother. Before realizing what he's doing, he collides into her, and she's carrying his breakfast, causing the breakfast to spill all over him, ruining his clothes also. This gets him a long scolding from his mother, and after 5 minutes of scolding, cleaning the mess, he finally tells her his problem. In panic, she puts up something for him, and they are almost ready to leave. When they hear some noise coming from Tiga's house. What happens there? Let's look at it. So Tiga was also very excited, like Kapi, but when only 5 minutes were left, he realizes, and he was just getting ready for school, wearing the uniform and just fitting everything. He just realizes that his shirt is quite loose and it's not fitting him. He in just so that he's not embarrassed in front of everyone, he rushes to his mother, but in the way breaks her favorite vase. This causes him to get another long scolding from his mother. But when he tells her his problem, she quickly tells him to search the needle, cause they don't know where it's kept. After 5 minutes of the entire house being searched, they finally find one, and in hurry it's stitched up. But all this drama in both the houses causes the respective kids to get quite late to school, and when they finally arrive there, after missing their buses, their mothers have to drive them to school. But when they reach there, they get another long scolding from their teacher because they are very, very, very late and have to stand outside the class for the first period. Afterwards, when they meet their friends, they're just so embarrassed and are laughed at because they had to pull their ears and stand outside for a long time. But ultimately, the day goes well and they're happy to meet their friends.
Thank you, Arna. And finally, completing the story round, we have Rishabh. Go on, Rishabh.
One day Tiga was playing in her garden. She was having a lot of fun until she saw Kapi. Kapi's mom had got him a new slide and swing set to play on in the garden. But Kapi was having a lot of fun and Tiga wanted to play on the slide and swings too. She ran to Kapi's backyard and said, Kapi, please can I play on your slide? Kapi said, yes, sure, and went inside his house. After a while, Tiga was happily playing on the swings and Kapi came out of the house. He quietly put some oil on the slide and said, Hey Tiga, do you want to play on the slide instead? It's a lot more fun. Tiga said, Yes, of course. She ran to the slide and when she slid down, the oil made her slip and fall on the ground hard. She called her mother, who then called Kapi's mother, and they started arguing. Meanwhile, Tiga and Kapi decided to explore the neighborhood. Balu the bear had just bought a new car and left it unlocked. The two of them went quickly into the car. Kapi switched on the ignition and shifted to drive. He was just about to start driving when Balu came out of his house, shouting. Kapi's mom and Tiga's mom came to the spot and pulled out the two children. They couldn't help but wink to each other and think of what they could have done. The next day, they both, along with their moms, decided to go to the mall. There was a play area in the mall where they were left to play when their mothers shopped. They began playing, but it was not long before Tiga became curious. She pulled out a screw from the side of the ball pen. Kapi too was intrigued and he did the same. Before long, the two of them had removed all the screws, and the structure began to fall. Everyone ran out. It fell with a boom, and the cause of destruction was soon found. The security guards tried to bring the two children to the mall office, but their mothers had just come looking for them in the toy train of the mall. They both jumped in and escaped.
That was wonderful, Rishabh. We have 6 wonderful stories coming up. I'm pretty sure the judges are going to have a tough time with this. So let me not waste more time and move on to challenge number 3. As we move on to challenge 3, let me remind you that you are watching the grand finale of TCS Ion Intelligent Creativity and Innovation, the senior category. All these students belong to classes 7, 8 and 9. So now let's move on to challenge number 3 of this grand finale, and that's called Innovative Problem Solver. Well, they have been authors. Now let's see how good they are at solving problems. So let me explain the round to you. You must read and understand the problem statement that's given to you. You have 2 choices from which you will decide which one you want to solve. You must not only propose a solution, you must also explain how your solution will work. You have up to 5 minutes to present your solution to the jury. Let me read out the first problem statement to all of you. COVID-19 vaccines have been made available to everyone, and there is need to identify groups of people who should get vaccinated in priority to ensure everyone gets vaccinated eventually. What would be your suggestions in terms of the first 3 groups of people who should get vaccinated and why? Moving on, let me now read out to you the second problem statement. You and 2 of your friends are a great bunch of 13-year-olds. One of your friends has received a mobile phone as a birthday gift. This makes another of your friend very anxious about owning a mobile phone. What would be the points you will discuss with your friend to manage anxiety and discuss if it's a need or a want for them? Those are your problem statements. You decide what you want to solve and present your solutions. Let's start with Dhruva. Dhruva, please go ahead.
Okay, ma'am. The first group of people I think should be vaccinated are the frontline workers and medical help. This is because they put their lives on the line every single day just to help other people get better and to help save lives in this country. They deserve it not only for being so brave, but so that they can treat patients without any um, risk or any fear of contracting the virus or passing on the virus to that patient. You see, for people who have had a heart attack or diabetes or have had some medical issue which is not related to COVID, to go to a hospital must be very difficult for them because they know that there's going to be a COVID day in every single hospital, and that every hospital has and you have the chance to contract COVID in every single hospital. So there's the high chance of your condition worsening and you getting more sick. So this can be prohibited if the health workers are, vaccinated, and there's absolutely no risk of them contracting the infection to you. That's my first category. The second category, who I feel a lot of plight for, are the migrant workers. 10 lakh jobs of migrant workers have been lost in this country. This is because many of them have not been able to secure a job after being fired by their employers in this pandemic because, you see, they don't, many of them cannot come to work because of the pandemic. So the employers have no use for them, so they are fired. And they have nowhere to go. They have no money to transport themselves back to their native states. What can they do? Their only choice is to collect all their belongings and walk, or with your foot or on a cycle, all the way to your native state. Many people have died of hunger, thirst, and just mere tiredness on the way. I feel so much pride for them because they don't have any power over this. So if they were vaccinated, then they could go back to their old jobs and do it without any sort of fuss. Number three is the old and frail. They have a very chance if they contract the virus, they may pass away. A lot of us know someone that has lost a loved one, and most of them have been the old. I couldn't imagine life without my grandmother, and I know that if I lost her to this COVID virus, I would be so dejected and depressed because she is almost my whole world. I love her to death, and there's nothing that I can do to confirm that she doesn't get the virus. She can't just stay home all day, all week, all month, all year. She is an active woman. She needs to get outside. My grandmother, even though she's so old, she almost every day she goes walking. She's not been able to do that in the pandemic, and that is a source of enjoyment for her. She's not been able to come visit us, and when every time we go and visit her, I can't hug her and I can't show affection to her because I don't want to get too close and help spread this disease. So it would really be of use to me, and I'm sure many people around me and who are just like me, so that if they're old, could get vaccinated, so that they know that there's no chance of them contracting the virus. The This COVID virus has taken its toll on the world, on economies, on jobs, and most importantly, loss of life. And even if you haven't lost your life after contracting COVID, you may have some post COVID symptoms which are going to be there for you throughout your life. So I think it's best if these three groups first get vaccinated so that they can get their lives in order and be safe. And then the rest of the population can slowly be vaccinated according to their importance. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhruva. That was wonderful. Moving on to Neha. Neha, please begin.
I would tell my first friend that number one would be that a mobile phone is normally useful for people who need to make phone calls or people who use social media. And since you live with your parents and you can talk to your friends anytime, you don't require a school. You don't require a mobile phone. And a mobile phone would be distracting and prevent you from focusing on what's important, like maybe going outside and playing or doing your studies. Mobile phones can be distracting and maybe even addictive to you if you get one at such a young age. And social media is not good for people who are below the age of 18, as it has content that is not age appropriate. And getting a mobile phone leaves you open to spam and all kinds of other things. Like you can be open to like phishing and other things, other dangers that come with having a mobile phone. Like someone who you don't know can send you a text message, or you can get an email that is actually a bug or a virus. And a mobile phone is not required, really. You don't require one. What would you even use a mobile phone for? It's not useful to you. You can't use it for anything other than maybe social media, because phone calls are not something you'd make often. And there is plenty of time for you to buy a mobile phone when once you go past 18, and you don't need to get anxious about buying one immediately now at the age of 13, when you probably won't even use it. Maybe once you go above the age of 18, and you maybe if you go abroad to do your studies, then maybe yes, you might require a mobile phone to make phone calls with your parents and keep in touch with your friends. Until then, a mobile phone is pretty useless, and you're just 13 and you have friends who you can talk to anytime. Why do you need a mobile phone? If our other friend has gotten a mobile phone, okay, she can have one. There's nothing wrong with owning one, but it's not a need, it's a want. And if a mobile phone really is something you want so much, then maybe you actually shouldn't have a mobile phone, because you would probably get addicted to it, and you probably wouldn't be able to focus, like I said earlier, on anything else. And like I said too again earlier too, a mobile phone is dangerous to have for people who don't know how to manage it. And there's no need to worry, really. A mobile phone is not the most important thing in life. Don't get anxious. Yeah, that's what.
That was very creative, Neha. Moving on to Sameer.
The COVID 19 virus completely blanked out 2020 from our lives, and it was a year of lot of learning despite not going to schools. The COVID 19 vaccine is a huge breakthrough in stopping this pandemic. Right now, ensuring that everyone needs the vaccine gets it is the top priority for all nations. But for a country like India, where 1.7 billion population, 1.7 billion vaccines cannot be made in a heartbeat. So the country has to optimally decide which groups of people need the vaccine the most and earliest. The main priority of the government right now is to ensure that least number of lives are lost, and that the vaccine should be distributed in such a way to completely reduce the number of fatalities to its maximum. So I think there are three main groups of people who need the vaccine more than others. The first thing would be the healthcare workers. Of course, the frontline warriors of the COVID 19 against the COVID 19 virus have a right completely to get the vaccine firsthand. They have worked long days and long nights helping people in who have this disease, and in turn have got it themselves. And sad to say that many of them have been lost as well. The many people, such as the healthcare workers, the doctors, the police people who have been working day in and day out during the lockdown to ensure that everybody is safe, have a right to get the vaccine first. Second, the second group of people who should be getting it is the elderly people. Studies have shown that the elderly people, that is above the age of 60, have a higher prone risk of fatalities against the COVID 19 virus, and have been known to get infected a lot easier too. The thing is that the COVID 19 virus may not be that deadly, it could be just like a flu. But the thing is, for elderly people, it can be much more severe. And for people who have stuff like asthma, it can cause a lot of problems like pneumonia in them, and that can lead to a lot more fatalities. So ensuring that the elderly people also get it is key. The third thing is people with existing healthcare problems. So people who have high blood sugar, diabetes, or like obesity, or like that, those people also have been shown to have a higher risk than the regular average man. these people also have a right to live, and the fact that they have a higher chance of risk of fatality shows that they are the ones who need the vaccine more than others. So for example, people with diabetes, high blood sugar, people who have existing lung problems like lung cancer, lung disease, asthma, and also people who have like gastrointestinal problems, because the virus has been known to infect people who have gastrointestinal problems. These people should be the third category in which the vaccine is distributed. Distributing it in these people in the specific order ensures that the people who have high risk of fatality get a lower risk of fatality. Thank you.
Great, Samir. Wonderful. Let's now move on to Harini.
So I chose the first option, and the question is, who is the most who gets the priority of getting vaccinated in first? So I think that the people who give the vaccinations should be the first to actually get the vaccinations, because they come in contact with most people, and so they are in most danger. So this can even prevent a lot of cases coming up, because then these people will be immune to it. Then the second group should be the doctors, because because they have they have a very important job, and to continue their job they also need to be assured of safety. So they should be the next ones to get the vaccinations, because they also come in contact with a lot of people. The next are police. They have to continue doing their job, because their job is very important for the nation. They safeguard the country, so they should also be kept safe. So then a third people to get is the police. Then after that can be the essential shop owners, like the pharmacy and grocery, because a lot of people need these essential items and they come here to buy it. And these people can be assured of safety by giving them the vaccinations. And in each state there can be in all the districts there could be one center where the vaccination is given out, and this can be cleaned every day, so that there is no transmission of the virus. So then everyone in this way everyone will get the vaccine eventually, and the people who have the most important jobs can continue doing their jobs without any delay, and everyone remains safe.
Thank you, Harini. Following Harini now is Arna.
Okay, so as the question says that COVID-19 vaccines have been made available to everyone, and we have to identify which groups of people should be vaccinated in priority to ensure that everyone gets vaccinated eventually. According to me, in terms of the first three groups of people who should get vaccinated in order would be I'll go in the order and state the reason also simultaneously. The first one being healthcare workers, including nurses, doctors, etc. The reason I chose them as the first and the top priority would be because eventually, if you have to get the whole country vaccinated, getting those who will actually vaccinate the other people, getting them vaccinated is a priority. Second reason being that they have to actually, if people who are having severe cases and have to be admitted in hospitals, then they actually have to interact with the doctors and nurses, and they come in contact. And since the nurses and the doctors are in contact with those whose immune system is weak at that point of time, because naturally they are not well, so if they only have COVID, then it would lead to a mass spread and higher risks. Thus, getting these people vaccinated would be the first priority, according to me. The second priority would be to the government workers, those who are in contact with the masses. The people who come to collect our garbage in the garbage vans. Then the police workers and all that, because as I stated, they have contact with a lot of people, and it would actually prevent the chain communication of of the virus. And so getting these frontline workers vaccinated would be the second priority. The third being to get the old age people or the senior citizens vaccinated, because as we all know, since they are senior citizens, they have a higher risks. They have higher risks of getting infected, and even if they get infected, then they have higher mortality rate, or the chances of them having severe or long lasting effects would be higher. So, getting them vaccinated would be a priority.
Wonderful, Arna. And last but not the least, we have Vrishad.
So, COVID-19 vaccines are some of the most important things being talked about right now, and they're sort of the need of the hour in this final stage, presumably, of COVID. So, but this disease can also happens to affect some people more than others. For example, people who have day wages and people who have other complications. So, those people will be severely affected by the spread of the vaccine because they might lose their meal on a daily basis, or in fact, in some rare cases, it can be even fatal. So, elderly people and people with other complications like diabetes are at a higher risk. So, we need to take a lot of these factors into account when deciding the who should get the vaccine first. So, first and foremost, we need to ensure the safety of a vaccine before it's used for everyone. So, diverse groups of people have to be selected on a voluntary basis. So, this helps us to assess it at a larger level to ensure its safety. And also, if the vaccine is ensured to be safe, and only if it is safe, we must first vaccinate those high risk people, like elderly people and people with other complications like diabetes, in which cases the disease can even be fatal. So, people with lung diseases, elderly people, and other people who are generally impacted greatly by contacting the virus. So, they should be the first group to be vaccinated. And it is a priority that we have to ensure these people are safe, and this is the best way of doing so since vaccines directly prevent the disease. And also, now that we've mitigated the fatality in these people by eliminating the risk, so our next goal will be to vaccinate those who are most likely to spread the virus. So people who are like shopkeepers, people who work in theaters, and generally people who work in places which attract a lot of crowds. So these places are the places where the virus is likely to spread the most. So people who work there on a daily basis contact so many people, maybe hundreds of people, thousands even, and so it is our responsibility to ensure that if the virus is to be eradicated, we should first reduce the spread after mitigating the risk of fatality. And third, and finally, the final group who should be vaccinated, in my opinion, is the general population. So, people, it's not enough if we just mitigate the risk and reduce the spread. We should also completely eradicate the virus. So, for example, what we did with smallpox, we completely eradicated it through vaccinations, polio. So, if we want to reduce the occurrence of the virus to only a spare chance, very, very rarely, then our best option is to vaccinate people in the general population, and the best and we should ensure that the disease is completely eradicated before moving forward.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rishabh. With this, we have now reached the end of our grand finale. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now get to know our jury members. With 20 years of teaching experience, Dr. Tiwari's professional focus is in the applied areas of communication, where she has been researching and publishing in the areas of technology-aided human communication. Additionally, she specializes in strategic CSR, its design, implementation, and reporting. Dr. Tiwari has to her credit over 40 publications, including research articles, chapters in edited books, and newspaper articles. She has presented papers in reputed international conferences and has been chosen as a fellow by ICSSR and ERC, United Kingdom, to attend their roundtable discussion on social media in London. She has been empaneled as an expert by the renowned Dalim Learning in the area of creativity and communication. She has conducted over 1,000 hours of corporate training to mid-level managers of national and international organizations. Dr. Ruchi Tiwari, welcome to you. Let's now welcome Mr. Sarvanan. He is continuously incubating groundbreaking programs to develop an empathetic society that is responsible towards environment, emotional skill development, arts and culture. He founded Ed6 Brain Lab, a next generation platform for 21st century learning. By enhancing thinking skills and life skills, Ed6 Brain Lab seeks to impart and transform millions of children worldwide. Welcome, Mr. Sarvanan. Can I please request both of you to give us your valuable feedback?
Dhruva, in one word, if I were to put together your feedback, I would say that you're a perfect blend of realism and imagination. You marry the two so well that your story, the story that you were talking, it was so interesting and at the same time so realistic. I was tempted to believe that all of it is genuinely there. Your narration was fantastically expressive. And the scenarios, the business scenarios that you build around talking about responsibility and the creative attribute, those two put together, they made a brilliant combination. So I was just so impressed with your story. Similarly, in the next challenge, the third challenge, the facts that you talk in your argument, the emphasis that you make on various important pieces of information backed by your expression, along with that, how you weave the personal anecdotes, that makes it really credible in terms of what you were saying. But gradually in the third challenge, I felt that as you began to move, you were just too racy and a lot of pace that you picked up, that it just seemed that you were talking too fast if you were going a little slow, because remember, you're talking of good pieces of information. Therefore, all that information, how I wish you would have woven together more logically and gone a little slow, that would have added a whole lot of more value to the entire presentation that you made.
An impressive performance in both the rounds, the awesome author and the innovative problem solver round by you, Neha. Just loved it. The plurality of the ideas in the innovative problem solver round was simply superb. All you need to be is just a little more consistent, because in the awesome author round, I was just wanting to see that, but little bit it was just missing out there. All right, so be consistent in the plurality, so it will make a lot of difference for you, because I could see you you can be definitely a lot more be creative, because you have that in you. Just express it, just bring that out in the best possible way. All the best.
Samir, I'd again say very imaginative. I must compliment the expressions that you make. And the way you describe, it's an absolute joy to watch and hear you. Your all attributes of non-verbal communication, ranging from your manners, your gestures, your facial expressions, your voice, all of that so beautifully lend to the narration that you make, that I was drawn to listen to. It was a pleasure listening to you. But I don't know, why did you just suddenly end your story? And you just kind of just fell lost maybe towards the end. So it didn't seem that you had thought through the story to give it a very good ending. So while I was just so involved in it, suddenly I felt that Samir had left me and he was no more interested in the story. So he was just carrying on to talk of what he just wanted to. Your next challenge, clear logic, very good arguments put forward to you. Your language is concise, and I need to compliment your vocabulary. Use of terms like mitigation, fatality, all of those good companions with smallpox, small pores, and the aim to make COVID 19 eradicable. These were terms that were perfectly used to offer a creative solution. So, to me, you just seem like a good blend of creative storytelling and presentation, and of course, narrating and putting forward creative solutions to issues. Well done.
Honey, I just love the candidness when you said those who are going to give vaccinations are the ones who should get it first. Hats off to that. And also, I could see a lot of creativity coming out in your awesome author round. But just you need to keep in mind that it should dovetail your creativity to the rules or the expectations in that. If you can just do that, you can be a rock star. All the best and keep rocking.
Rishabh, your feedback for challenge 2. I'd like to say that Rishabh, you have a very good imagination, but all of it after a while just becomes extremely similar and so very flat. While you're talking, maybe attempt to make your narration a little more expressive, because your story moves like one straight line, and then when you talk flat, then what happens is that it leaves you with a very predictable outcome spoken in not a very interesting manner. So, how will you capture your audience's attention? Through two ways. Bring in some surprises, some twists in your story, and then let it be beautifully reflected in your oral voice modulation as well. For your challenge 3, I'd say again the same thing. That what happens is, Rishabh, that when you talk in a manner which is flat, there's little or no modulation, that's when it just gets boring. But what was interesting and what I really liked was the tone, which was formal, and the kind of arguments that you made were so clear. How I wish you were a little more intonative, it would have been so much better. I wish you a lot of luck, Rishabh.
I loved your creativity, Arna. So you did a good job in the innovative problem solver round. But in the awesome author round, I wanted you to keep in mind to have more novelty and also had the humor quotient a little more, because that was really expected, and that part you seem to be missing a bit out there. Otherwise, this would have been an extremely impressive round for you as the innovative problem solver. So let's hope for the best. Keep rocking.
Thank you, jury members. Thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and watching this amazing grand finale of the TCS Ion Intelligem. And the winner in the senior category is Rishabh from PSVB Senior Secondary School, Chennai. And all you finalists, good luck and goodbye.